Several years ago, I used to live sort of near a dollar store. It was about 10 minutes away from my apartment, and slightly closer than most of the other stores in the shopping area that was nearby. I really didn't go there much, but I occasionally would to get certain products. One night, I decided to go out and get a birthday card for my sister because it was her birthday later that week. I figured the best deal would be at the dollar store, so I drove there. The dollar store was called Dollar Tree, and I walked inside to see that they did in fact have a really good selection of birthday cards inside. The store wasn't too busy, and I was able to look through a bunch of cards before I finally found one that I liked for my sister. After I got it, I walked over and checked out with the cashier, then left the store. I walked out to my car in the quiet, dark parking lot, then got inside my SUV and started to drive away. I had my music going like I always did, which was connected to my phone through Bluetooth. But about halfway home, I thought I heard a strange noise. I turned down my music and listened. I didn't hear anything for a few seconds. Then I heard it again. It was coming from the back of my car. I looked behind me. I saw in the far back of my car, behind the second row of seats, the head of a man emerged, and I was looking right at his face for a good second. I screamed and immediately pulled the car over to the side of the road. I'm not sure why I did that, but I was purely reacting to the situation. Unfortunately, I was driving down a quiet road on the way back home. There were really no places I could go to. It was pretty much just woods and fields on both sides. Once my car was pulled over, I did have the presence of mind to take the keys out, and when I got out and off the road, I went into the woods. I took off running, and as I did, I heard the back of my car start to swing open. I looked, and just for another second, I saw a man running into the woods towards me. The man was wearing a black sweatshirt with the hood up and jeans. I turned away after seeing him, and it made me run faster. I had a good 40 or 50 feet on him, and I dodged tree branches and ran into a bunch of bushes and tall grass and things like that. I was running fast, and I had no idea where I was going, but I could hear the man running behind me. He didn't really seem to be getting closer, though, and eventually I heard him less and less. I slowly turned my sprint into a jog, and then I noticed something in the distance. It was a house. The house had a light on, and I ran to the front door and started pounding on it. I didn't see the man behind me, and I was hoping he wouldn't catch up. I kept knocking on the door, and after like 30 seconds, it finally opened. A woman opened the door, and I told her what had happened. She didn't want to let me in her house, though. I'm not sure if she believed my story and thought I was a creep or something. I couldn't really blame her, and she was about to close her door in my face when I asked her if she could just call the police for me. She agreed to do that and called the police. I waited near her house, constantly looking at the entrance of the woods in case the man would return. Eventually, the police arrived, and I told them the whole story. We all went back to my car, which was still on the side of the road with the back of it wide open. They didn't find the man, so I guess he ran away somewhere. Whoever that guy was must have snuck in my car when I was in the Dollar Tree. I guess it was unlocked or something. I'm not sure if he was planning to attack me or what, but I'm glad I saw him when I did. I used to work at a dollar store. I was a cashier, but we never really got too busy, so it wasn't uncommon for me to do other stuff around the place. Typically, on weeknights, there were just a few of us working, and sometimes just one. One night, I was working with just my coworker, until she left at 9 o'clock because the place was already super quiet and we closed at 10. I agreed to close the place up, and it was an easy hour where I rang up a couple of customers, and then there were no customers in the place at all. I left my register to sweep the floor nearby, and hoped nobody else would come in the store for the remaining 20 minutes that we were open. I was almost done sweeping when I heard the front doors to the store opening up. I looked and saw a man wearing a dark blue jacket and baseball cap walk inside. He immediately turned to the right and went behind an aisle out of my view. I finished up my sweeping of the floor and then walked back over to my register to be ready for when the man would check out. Time went by, and then I announced over the store speaker that we would be closing in 10 minutes. I once again repeated that when we were closing in 5. I looked around the aisles that I could see, but I didn't see the man at all. When it was 10 o'clock, I announced that we were now closed, and he had to come up to the cash register and check out. I waited a couple of minutes, but there was still nothing. I then walked over and locked the entrance door so nobody else would come inside. Then I decided to walk through the store and see where this man was. went down the first aisle, and he wasn't there. I then went down a few more, but couldn't find him. Finally, I'd been around basically the entire store, and then realized he must have gone to the bathroom. We had our bathrooms in the back corner of the store near the employee break room, and there was a back room there as well where we had extra merchandise. I walked towards there, and as soon as I made it to the little hallway area that was back there, I saw him. It looked like he was almost hiding behind the door that led to our back room. As soon as I saw him, he darted from behind there and ran to the main area of the store. I walked out hoping to see him leave, but I didn't hear him leaving. Instead, I heard movement towards the middle of the store. Then, suddenly, I saw a man jump out from behind another aisle and throw a glass cup at me. I was able to move out of the way and dodge it just in time. I walked back around the side of the store and away from the man and made my way back to the front. I yelled that the man needed to leave now or I was calling the police. I didn't know what his problem was, but he was acting really strange. I didn't hear him leaving, though. I wasn't sure if this guy was insane or what. Then I heard a loud crash come from the area where he was. Now I knew I needed to call the police. But before I could, I heard more noises and watched the man run out of the store. After he had left, I wanted to run over to the door and lock it. But as I was on the way there, I saw him run back inside. He ran out of my sight again. I decided it was best for my safety if I just left the store, so I ran outside, then called the police. I waited inside my car, and eventually they arrived. The police came, and the police went inside the store and were able to get the man. When I went back inside, I saw all the damage that he caused. He made quite a mess, and I stayed late to clean it up. I was just happy everyone was okay. I think the guy was on drugs, or else he was just insane. A few years back, when I had recently graduated from high school, I was hanging out with my friend Josh at his house. We played video games until like 10 o'clock at night or so. Then I got tired and went back to my place. I lived only a few blocks away, so I had walked there from my parents' house. As I was on my way back, I passed by this little dollar store that was in town. I was pretty thirsty, so I walked around to the front and went inside to get something to drink. I hadn't actually been to this store before, but I had drove and walked past it all the time. It just looked a little cheap and run down to me. When I got inside the place, it didn't seem very nice. It was sort of cluttered and old looking. Nobody else was in there though, so I walked right over to the fridge, grabbed a drink, and then made my way to the register. It seemed strange in there because half of the lights were off, and when I got to the register, there was nobody there. I looked around wondering where the employees were. I seemed to be the only person in the entire store at all. I looked behind the counter and nobody was there. I set my drink near the register and then took a few steps away. Just then, I heard a voice come from behind me. I looked back over at the counter, and there was now a tall man standing there. He asked me if I was ready to check out. I jumped when I saw him. It was like he had just suddenly appeared. There wasn't a back room right behind the counter that he could have come from, and I had looked behind it before, and if he was ducking below it, I would have seen him there as well. I just said yes, and then paid for my drink. I then started to walk away. I looked back once again, but the man was now gone. Nobody was behind the counter. I was so confused, and I don't know what happened. I felt kind of creeped out by the whole thing. I started just walking home, and looked back one last time. I now saw the man standing outside the store about 10 feet from the door, just staring at me. It really gave me the creeps, and I walked faster and went the rest of the way home. It was one of the strangest experiences of my life. I later found out that the store closed at 9 every night, and I had gone there way past 10 p.m. That just makes it even weirder.